we're doing a water run today, but first, coffee. I got Bickies too. Nice. Good girl. Hey, honey. Tex. Good boy. Hello. We're doing a water run today, which means we're going to have a yarn. Today's episode is kind of photography related, but also kind of not. You can relate it back to photography. But basically, I'm here to give you permission to not make money and not profitize. Is that a word? Profitize your hobbies. Whether that's photography, whether that's painting, knitting, sewing, whatever. I feel like in today's society, the cost of living is really high. So any way you can make an extra buck is handy. But also there's this big hustle culture of, having all these different streams of income and, making money, I guess, wherever you can. But I want to give you permission to have hobbies that you just want to enjoy, not necessarily make money off. Now I'm just pulling up to a trough. And there's sheep around here, so I'm just going to make sure my dogs don't jump off the ute. They shouldn't. And then we will continue chatting. But I just wanted to give you the introduction of what today's video is going to be about. It is freezing out there. It is so cold. So if you don't know by now, I'm a photographer and I have been for about over 10 years now. I've kind of stopped counting. And that did start out as a hobby. I did photography through high school and I really enjoyed it. And then during my senior years of high school, I started doing photography and getting paid for it. Now, that's different. That's been my full-time job for a little while now. So you have your job or your business, but then you are allowed to have hobbies outside of your business that are just for your enjoyment. And I've never really thought about this a lot until I started sewing. And it's probably, country girl into working dogs or horses photography, and it's but then I'm a grandma and I love sewing, and that's fine. But I started sewing. I've probably been sewing for about over a year now, and I really enjoy making quilts and lots of things, and I do embroidery and stuff like that as well. So I started getting people saying, you should sell this, and to me, my sewing and my embroidery and my, fiber arts, whatever you call it, is my wind down time from my business or from my job. And I considered it because it's who wouldn't? I enjoy it, I'm doing it, maybe I should make some money from it. But then I started to think about, how much pressure I put on myself for my photography and making sure that's at a really high standard. And I honestly don't think I could handle it for another side hustle, you know what I mean? And I enjoy just, having a project going, and it might take me 3-4 months to do, and that's okay because there's no expectation, you know what I mean? If I do a lot of sewing that I give for gifts. Oh, it's really wet through here. Just a second. It's all good. So I do a lot of sewing, and a lot of it I do give as gifts. I don't keep a lot of it. I don't even think I've made something. I've made one thing for myself. I've made a few things for my daughter, and the rest have been to give away to people for their babies or birthdays or whatever. And when I started doing that is when I started getting the comments, you should make these and sell these. But you know what? It's okay to just have something low pressure that you enjoy. I feel growing up as kids, we all had different hobbies and interests, and we could be good at them, we could be bad at them, and it didn't matter. Where as an adult, you know, there's nearly the expectation where if you're good at something, you need to be selling it and be making money. And I think this is where a lot of people are burning out, they're getting a bit depressed, and they don't have something to do just for themselves. You know what I mean? Like, obviously I'm giving stuff away, but the actual act of sewing or embroidery, or I've tried knitting, I'm not very good at it, and I've done half a project, but you know, they're things for me. They're things that I do to wind down. And even I got into this little bit of a trap of going, well, maybe I should do sewing content on a different account. But even that is still then, it's not obviously a business, but then there's still that expectation of you need to be pumping out XYZ amount of projects so you have content to post on social media. And I think we as a society just need to reel it back. Not everything needs to be a business. It's so bumpy through here, and I'm trying not to get bogged. But, you know, I think we need to reel it back a little bit. Not everything needs to be a business. Not everything you do, you need to create content for. And I think that part in itself has been the most difficult part for me, because I obviously create content and I'm a very multi person with lots of interests and I do want to kind of create content for all of those things because I enjoy them. But when it then gets to a stage of you're doing those things for content rather than for yourself, is when you need to kind of look at what you're doing. Even for me, like with my gardening and everything else, I was like, you know, you see YouTubers and Instagram influencers and they do really well from it, but that doesn't necessarily mean you have to. If you just want to do the things because you enjoy them, and you might do one project in 6 months and not pick it up again for another couple of months, that's fine. You need to have these things where there's zero expectations on you and what you're creating. So anyway, that was a bit of a rant. And I just think it stemmed from, I made my daughter some pants, and I ended up making 3 pairs because the first 2 didn't fit her. And from that, like, you know, they were all in different patterns and they looked really cute, and everyone's like, you should sell these. And I'm like, I just don't want to. And, you know, especially with the quilts that I've been making, I've had a few people message me, be like, can you make me one? I'll pay you. And I'm like, no, I can't. And as a people pleaser and someone who runs a business, like, that really hurts me to say, but I've got to protect my thing and my wind down time. You know what I mean? I'm already giving you things in my business and in my content, but this is for me. And I think more people need to start doing that, because that's how you end up hating your hobbies. Like, as bad as it sounds at the moment, I don't really like photography, and it's because I do it as a business and it kind of takes the fun out of it, and I don't want that for my other hobbies. So I don't know if anyone else is feeling this way or if it's just me, but I just kind of wanted to bring that up. Yeah. That was very ranty, but anyway, I guess I'll do a quick little life update while we're here. I had a couple of weeks off YouTube just for some personal family reasons, and I did feel guilty about it, but sometimes, and especially I think when you're starting a new thing like a YouTube channel or an Instagram, and you want to be pushing out the content and you want to, not so much that, but you want to be consistent with it, like taking those couple of weeks off early felt really, I felt really guilty about it, but like I could not do it. And I think giving yourself grace for that kind of stuff as well, you know, you can't do everything, especially when you're not in a good mindset. But we are going to be really busy with work coming up in the next few weeks, so watch out for some more work vlogs, as well as a couple of horse event vlogs probably, where I'll be videoing and writing and doing the things, so that'll be fun. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little rant, and I'm sorry for not having a few videos for the last couple of weeks, but we will be back on our weekly schedule now. So we'll see you next week.
2 hours later.
I ended this video, but I thought I'd restart it quickly because I thought you'd all get a laugh. Yay.